So I'm going to call the meeting of the Corpus Christi Business and Job Development Corporation to order. Ms. Box, you want to call the roll?
President Alan Wilson.
Here.
Let's see, Vice President Diana Summers is absent. Secretary Jesus Jimenez is absent. And Mr. Mark LaRue is absent. Victoria Holland.
Here.
Johnny Filipello.
Here.
Vishnu Reddy. A quorum of the board is present to conduct the meeting.
Would anyone like to make public comments? Have we received any?
No, sir.
Are there any corrections to the minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Financial report.
Included in your packet are the unaudited financial statements as of April 30th, 2025, and we do have a brief presentation of budget to actuals here for you. Starting with the seawall fund, you have total revenues budgeted at about $9.2 million. As of April 30th, 2025, a total of $5.4 million has been received. This leaves about $3.8 million pending to be collected. Jumping down to total expenditures, the amount budgeted is $16.6 million. Actuals year to date amount to about 11.5. This leaves about 5.1 million of funds pending to be spent. Overall, we anticipate to end the fiscal year with a fund balance of 2.4 million. The fund balance as of April 30th was about 3.7 million. I'll take any questions on the seawall fund budget to actuals. Okay, if none. Jumping to the seawall CIP fund, total budget amount to about 79.2 million. Expenditures to date amount to about 28 million. This leaves about 51 million pending to be spent on projects. We next have the arena fund with total revenues budgeted at 9.3 million.
I'm so sorry. Could you go back one?
Yes.
So I'm looking at quite a lot of these that I've sort of seen in motion for some time since I joined the board, at least. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if do you have a report on the timelines associated with these and what we should be expecting?
Yeah, I believe our engineering department can provide that, I believe.
Yeah, and actually what we can do is we can give you a brief update, but normally engineering comes about every quarter or so and gives updates on all of these. So if you had any specific ones, if not, you can ask Jeff today, and if not, we can bring back a full update on them.
Particularly some of them where I've seen, partial expenditures out, but sure. I'm not seeing a continuation of expenditures. Sure. And so it does raise questions, are things being held up? If so, why? Is this going to cost more? I think those questions, I just have, particular to the budget, it prompts me to think of these questions. Sure.
Well, let me take a stab at this with a general answer. And if you've got a specific question, I'll take a shot at it. But we usually, when we do a quarterly update, we hit all the projects and give a status on it. So what we do in engineering, we manage capital projects. And capital projects are projects that go way beyond a fiscal year. And I'd say a typical a super quick project for me is like 3 years, flash to bang. And I've got some projects right now that have a 4-year construction period on it. So you've got some projects that will go through 2 years of engineering and then 4+ years of construction. So I can have projects that last anywhere from 3 to 6, 7 years. Now, there are some projects that we tap the brakes where the need of the project might come into question, or where interaction with some other feature, like we had several projects that were put on hold for the Harbor Bridge, for example. So each project kind of has its own story. And
yeah, I'm looking at that Harbor Point East connectivity that is there, but there's no budget, no expenditure.
Yeah, so I'll tell you what that was. So there were some kind of landscape architecture type features that the port was planning in that vicinity between their new building and the Science Museum and extending out to the waterfront. And there was a thought that maybe we could somehow connect that over to the water garden. And that was a project that was created for that purpose. They thought they could reutilize some of the infrastructure back behind the Science Museum where the Columbus ships used to be. That has turned out to not really be technically feasible. It's in pretty bad shape, but that's what that project was. And that's one of the ones where the interaction with the port hasn't really moved on their project. And so.
Now that you're speaking, I think I remember that this is a walking path.
Correct.
Okay, yes, now that you're speaking, I recall that you were mentioning how this may not even be a feasible project during the last report on this.
Yeah, and there's another related one about making flood wall improvements there and that one has, the scope has been back and forth. At one point, it was conceived as kind of a big landscape architecture project to make a kind of promenade that would go all the way from the Ortiz Center down to the Art Museum. That one has been through rescoping multiple times. There are some real flood wall improvements that need to be made there, but part of the question is, okay, what's going to happen with that old core building? And my understanding is now that the port has acquired that, that might jumpstart some discussion about doing something with that.
Okay, thank you. And I want to ask real quickly about the budget for the reserve appropriations. It looks like the one titled.
I can't speak about.
I can speak to that. So the reserve appropriation is where, when we close out projects, if there's remaining funding, it goes into there. And then if there are new projects to be added, then we distribute it back out of there.
Okay, so that's basically our remaining budget.
It's just kind of a holding account. So like I said, if we have savings or projects that we don't move forward with, we put that back into there. And then when new projects come forward, we fund it out.
That makes total sense. I'm just looking at it and I see a budget and I'm.
Yeah, it's a holding account.
Okay, thank you. Apologies for the holdup. Thank you both so much, gentlemen, for your responses.
No worries.
And thank you to Heather, too.
Okay. Next, we have the Arena Fund. Total revenues budgeted for the Arena Fund amount to about $9.3 million. Actuals to date amount to about $5.4 million. This leaves about $3.9 million pending to be collected for combination sale tax and interest earnings. Expenditures were budgeted at a total of $21 million for the Arena Fund. Actuals year to date as of April 30th amount to $15.7. This leaves about $5.2 million pending to be spent for that fund. Overall, on a budget basis, we anticipate to decrease fund balance by 11.6, bringing it down from $12.7 million down to $1.1 million for the end of the fiscal year. As of April 30th, the ending fund balance had a balance of $2.5 million. The Arena CIP Fund, this is just a snapshot of that CIP fund with a total budget of about $20.3 million. Expenditures as of April 30th amounted to about $7.2 million. This leaves about $13 million of ongoing projects. Next, we have the Economic Development Fund with a revenue budget of investment earnings of $1,910. We anticipated expenditures to be about $307,000. Year to date, actuals for revenues amounted to $6,427. Total expenditures amounted to $170,000. Overall, we anticipated to end the fiscal year on a budget basis, a fund balance ending of $5,587. We currently have a fund balance of $147,364. We do have a commitment in that fund, which is program income related to the Home Buyer Assistance Program. And we do have a commitment there for the Whataburger Field of $137,260. Lastly, we have the sales tax revenue update. Year-to-date budget for this fund amounted to about $10.6 million. Actuals year-to-date came in at $10.7. That puts us about $35,000 ahead of actuals ahead of budget. When compared to the actuals of fiscal year 2024 of $10.6 million, we are $105,000 ahead of last fiscal year based on actuals. That concludes my presentation. I'll take any questions.
Any questions?
I already asked all mine.
Thank you.
Yes.
Next up, item 3, resolution amending and reaffirming the Corpus Christi Business and Job Development Corporation's investment policy and investment strategy for the fiscal year 2025-2026. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Here we have their annual review of the investment policy and investment strategy. The policy and strategy was reviewed by the by the investment committee on April 21st, 2025. There are some slight changes, mostly due with dates. Included in your memo, there was a change of our weighted average maturity going from 1 year to 2 years. And the reasoning behind that is to allow us to go ahead and do a longer term investment with the anticipation of interest rates coming down. We want to be able to have that flexibility to go out longer, lock in rates. Other than that, there are no really significant changes. It all complies with the Public Funds Investment Act, and we recommend the approval of it.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next up, item 4, motion to approve the Corpus Christi Business and Job Development Corporation's fiscal year 2025-2026 operating budget for the Seawall Fund, the Seawall Debt Service Fund, the Arena Facility Fund, the Arena Debt Service Fund, and the Business Job Development Fund. I need some Gatorade after all that. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Amy Cowley, Director of Management and Budget. So this will be your second opportunity to look at our proposed FY26 budget for the Type A funds, and we'll be looking for your approval on this budget today. To begin, these slides follow essentially the same format. We begin with our FY24 audited actuals that gives us a firm foundation for where we started the current fiscal year. And then we estimate where we're going to end this current fiscal year so that we know how we're beginning in the next fiscal year. So the column all the way to the right is our proposed FY26 budget. And for the Seawall Fund, we will begin the FY26 year with about $788,000 in fund balance. And then we anticipate collecting $4.5 million in revenue, and then we'll fully expend those funds in this FY26 budget. The sales tax we'll collect for the first 6 months of this fiscal year, $4.5 million, and then we'll have a small interest income. And for our expenses, we have our administration, we have a transfer to general fund, we have our transfer for the Seawall debt service, and then we have a transfer to the Seawall CIP fund for a total expense of $5.3 million. This is a list of our current Seawall CIP projects. I know that you already were able to review that with the financial report, but this is an update of some of our current projects funded with Seawall funds. And this is an overview of the Seawall Debt Service Fund. So we'll begin the year with 1.6 in fund balance. We will transfer only what is needed to meet our debt service payments from the Seawall Fund. And this fund should also have a 0 fund balance at the end of the fiscal year. Now for the Arena Fund, our beginning fund balance for FY26 is estimated to be $831,000. We're projecting revenue of $330,000, and then expenses of $1,161,000. The sales tax would be 0 because we stopped collection on this sales tax September 30th of 25, and then we will have some interest income, and this transfer would be transferring whatever is in the fund balance from the Arena Debt Service Fund. That's the remainder of the revenue for the 26 year. For our expenses, we would be transferring the fund balance, what is remaining in the Arena Fund, to the Arena CIP Fund. And here's an overview of our Arena Debt Service Fund. So we did complete payments on this debt in FY25, and so whatever is remaining in fund balance, that will be transferred to the Arena Fund. For the Business and Job Development Fund, this fund stopped collecting sales tax a while back, and in FY25, we actually received approval from you to transfer the remainder of these funds to the Type B Housing Fund. So you'll see zeros for the proposed budget in FY26 for this fund. This is interest income, also zero. And then zeros for the projects in 26. And that concludes my presentation. I'll stand by if you have any questions.
Basically, type A goes away and everything is under type B
Yes, sir.
after March of next year, I think.
It's pretty straightforward clearinghouse.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hurlbert? Any?
I think we have to approve the budget, right? So
Oh,
I'll
yeah,
take
I'm sorry.
I'll motion to approve.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I can second it.
Second? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Anything to report?
Not really to report, but just to add on to your comment. So, we are closing out our Type A activities and moving over into Type B. We will keep, as a committee, you will continue to move as we work through all of the outstanding projects. Those won't move to Type B. They will remain in Type A. Anything that's is in progress right now. So you'll still have 2 meetings for a little while, but as we close out those projects, they'll dwindle down, and then we'll just shift over just strictly to Type B.
And I say this just for clarity, in case anyone in the public it gets curious. We do this, we will not be voting on any new Type A activity under this proposed budget. We are clearing it out.
Yes.
But as a body, we are continue to be responsible over the funds that we've already voted to distribute through Type A.
That is correct.
So we're taking responsibility for that. And again, I'm not saying this because I think you need to be told this, but just in case someone is confused and wants to go back and read the minutes or check out online, I think it's nice to make things really clear for
Yes.
folks.
Yes, and then as those projects do complete, if there are remaining funds, because we have like uses over on the Type B, we actually will be able to, to take any type of remaining funding that was, we get down to those small amounts and actually transfer them to Type B, since under the 2 approved uses for the Type B are similar uses as what we had in Type A.
So a good example of that would be if we happen to have additional in the arena fund, it could be transferred over to the facilities fund.
The C District facilities, exactly.
Yes.
Yes.
So one thing to add, maybe for a future agenda item, the project finance zone.
Yes.
With what the legislator just approved, I guess. I think it'd be good for this board to hear the impact of that and
Sure.
kind of the next process for helping fix some of that facility. So.
Yes, and we will be bringing that forward. Staff is working very diligently on putting the proposed projects together to be presented for the new Type B authorization. So that's something that will be presented to the board, Type B board, along with City Council as we move forward with what that proposal is going to be for the renovations, expansion, and also maximization of the spaces within the American Bank Center, or we're referring it now to the Convention Center complex as we move forward with what that's going to be called moving forward. So, thank you.
What's the process for calling a special meeting?
You just need to let staff know, and we.
Joe, will you work with me?
Yeah.
I'd like to get that item that we couldn't act on to get a special meeting and get it acted on.
Yeah. And what we'll do is we'll identify some dates, because it doesn't necessarily have to be on a Monday. We'll send out information out to board
Yeah.
members to see when people are available, and then
Yeah.
schedule it then.
Yeah, that'd be helpful as soon as
Sure.
we can.
Yes, we'll do that.
There being no further business, this meeting is adjourned.